One. Hello, I am Mantastic and Fantastic, and today I'm going to be talking about the 7 new evolutions that have come to North America and Europe in Puzzle and Dragons. So, basically, with new evolutions, there's some of the more exciting aspects of the game because older favorite cards have new life breathed into them. And this video / article will go over the gist and basics of these new split evolutions because there are times when certain cards have a stronger evolution path or maybe equally viable, and it's a matter of deciding which one is going to better suit you. So, the 7 cards that receive new evolutions are Razia, Riol, Lumiel, Neffe, Light and Dark Metatron, and finally Amaterasu. So, I did not even click continue reading. Good job. So, Razia has always been actually quite a powerful and potent fire sub because she has 3 TPAs, she is bind immune, she has recover bind immunity, and she also has god typing. So all of those allow her to fill several different flexible roles because she is very hard hitting because 3 TPAs is able to unleash spectacular burst damage, and the fact that she is bind immune and has only a 5-turn base cooldown means you can easily inherit something over top of her. So she is found quite often on mono fire teams as a bind clearing sub, and she can even be subbed in on raw dragon teams as a budget alternative if you're lacking certain cards because, again, god 3 TPAs, bind immune. So with this new split evolution, we are now presented with some choices, and we kind of have a chance to decide which way we want to take her, because this new split evolution trades her 3 TPAs for a single 7 combo awakening and 2 skill bind resist. So this could be maybe a lateral shift or a downgrade or even an upgrade depending on the point of view you want to take, because 3 TPAs does hit harder when you connect 4 fire orbs, but it can also lead to less even damage overall if you're playing on certain teams that don't have as many TPAs. But 7 combo awakenings is a bit more consistent, especially if you have other cards with 7 combo awakenings, because you will have significantly stronger damage control, because if you hit 6 combos you don't do much, 7 is when you start ramping up and you start destroying stuff. Furthermore, 2 skill bind resists can be helpful, especially when playing solo mode for certain teams. Now, this new evolution does trade her attacker typing for physical, and that physical typing does allow her to be used on Ame no Uzume teams, who also are very reliant on 7 combo awakenings, so this is actually quite a potent and powerful option for players. Now, in addition to all those awakening changes and typing, Razia also gains new leadership potential because she is now a 2.25 times health, 56.25 times attack, and 2.25 times recovery team when you match fire and wood orbs. So this can be potent and somewhat likened to how Dark Athena works, because Dark Athena is dark and water for damage plus recovery. Unfortunately, Razia uses only physical types, so even with 2.25 times recovery, it's still going to be a little challenging to heal up enough, as well as the fact that she has no real effective damage outside of matching fire and wood orbs, so you need to have those 2 present, so you can't mow things down with TPA. And it's just going to be more orb hungry overall because she has no offensive awakenings outside of 7 combos, so you won't be able to go as fast. It won't be as consistent either. Your damage will just suddenly ramp up, so damage control becomes an issue as Razia's leader, but at least you do have fire physical cards you can draw from. There's Leyland, Ame, Set, Yamato, Freyr, and Hino, so there are at least options available. But I feel that Razia will be definitely overshadowed by Riol, and possibly I'm saying her name wrong, but until this evolution was released, Riol has been a very underutilized card because she just really didn't fit well anywhere, in all honesty, and instead of having bind recovery, she has a TPA, but otherwise mirrors Razia in a very similar awakenings, because Riol becomes very potent with this new evolution and should be pretty much the choice you make overall, because Riol's main appeal is now the same style of leader skill in that it's 2.25 times health and recovery plus 56.25 times attack, but she uses attacker types and matches wood and dark orbs, as well as having the no Skyfall clause, which I forgot to mention for Razia. So you have perfect damage control, but it is still hard to ramp up damage appropriately because you don't have much multiplier without matching wood and dark, and when you do, you hit 56 times, so there's no real middle in between ground. However, because she's using attacker types, you actually have a great subpool to draw from. You have Vishnu's, you have the Green Valkyrie, you have Future Perseus, if I'm not mistaken, as well as Maymeys. And many of these cards have 7 Combo Awakenings and TPAs built in. So she's much easier to use compared to Razia because you have so much higher burst damage potential with those TPAs and 7 Combo Awakenings. So she is actually very close to Dark Athena level. Obviously not as powerful, but if you can compare someone to Dark Athena, that says quite a bit about their leadership potential. Because, again, TPA 7 combos goes hand in hand, as well as the no Skyfall clause, so you can control your damage. Obviously, you won't get lucky with Skyfalls, but then again, you won't get unlucky when you don't want to match certain things. And the main drawback of Real is that she does not have damage, really, if you only match Wood or Dark. You have to match the 2 together. She does not have as many TPAs as Dark Athena, so you have to hit those 7 combos for the big damage. And she just has, obviously, lower weighted stats, as well as having a much lower recovery component. And even though it's 2.25 times, again, attacker types don't necessarily have the greatest recovery value. So it is some drawbacks, but nevertheless, Real is a very powerful and potent leader, and I would not be surprised seeing a lot more popularity in the next couple of weeks. And finally, closing out the Angel 2 is Lumiel. So a little bit of background about Lumiel, because Lumiel was in an awkward place, and then Dark Athena and various powerful Dark teams came about and made her somewhat more relevant, because she has a true damage plus a 4 elemental board changer. And in the past, I have honestly been relatively harsh on 4 elemental board changers because we were using leaders that did not have very high multipliers. They had to heavily stack their primary color, and a 4 elemental board just usually didn't cut it. You had to usually use something in conjunction. However, nowadays we have leaders that can do explosive amounts of damage with a 4 elemental board, provided you have at least 4 Dark Orbs or 4 of your primary color, because now with 7 Combo Awakenings, your damage ramps up incredibly fast, and road teams are starting to be pushed out. So teams like, say, Reincarnate Kusanagi Hime and Dark Athena, whose damage ramps up very quickly, they can use these 4 elemental boards quite well. And this is why Lumiel is regaining popularity, because her board change Inherit actually becomes very powerful, because not only do you instantly kill the pre-draws off in Arena 2 and 3, but you also have a board left over that you can match and utilize to deal relatively high amounts of damage. Furthermore, unlike other poisons and true damage options, inheriting Lumiel is not necessarily a danger for capping out, because yes, when her active skill caps out, it's a 4 elemental board changer, but it's not just a pure true damage and has no value against, say, the Radar Dragon. So Lumiel is a lot stronger now. So this is actually quite interesting, because Lumiel's new evolution doesn't necessarily help her that much more, because she mostly is going to be used as an inherit for most teams, because she doesn't have S skill bind resist, so Dark Athena can't really utilize her, and it's just awkward for the most part. Like 7 combos with no TPAs, again, not enough damage. So she's still going to be probably used as a board changer for those teams as an inherit, and going this form does improve her weighted stats. So it would be an upgrade if you want to have slightly higher stat transfer, because you have 200 more health and 350 more attack, which you have the potential to donate. Now, as a leader, it's an unusual leader because it's 76.5 times attack / 6.25 times recovery leader, but you have to use attackers, so it does limit your subpool quite a bit, and you have to match fire, water, wood, and dark orbs. So it's quite a steep requirement in terms of leadership. You have to use a double SBR card, and it's just awkward to use overall, so I don't feel she's going to have that much use as a leader. Next, we come to Neffe, and Neffe has been a relatively cute and fan favorite card who has never really excelled anywhere, to be honest. Like, she just didn't do anything well enough to warrant a spot on a team or as a leader. And this new evolution does attempt to give her some new viability, because it is a slightly stronger leader skill, but you sacrifice way too much damage for an easy activation. You only have to hit 3 out of your 6 elements, so you're always going to be able to activate unless something really strange happens, and that only yields 12.25 times attack. Furthermore, because any 3 elements triggers damage, you can't feasibly stall unless you don't match Dark Orbs, because you have some multiplier components. So you are going to be at least pinging away at bosses for a modest amount of damage. Now, we do have at least a durability of 2.25 times health and recovery, but again, if you don't hit hard enough, it's not going to be strong enough overall. Now, she does gain 2 7 Combo Awakenings, but unless you can utilize many 7 Combo Awakening cards, it's going to be hard to really pump out enough damage, and it's just going to be a lot of effort overall. Now, those 2 7 Combo Awakenings is appealing because that is massive amounts of spike damage for her. So some people may think, well, we could use her on various dark teams as a sub, but the main problem with that is she's going to be dealing too much damage compared to other cards because she's the only one who has 7 combo awakenings. Maybe Haku can keep abreast, so it depends on your team composition, but generally speaking, you are going to be hitting too hard of her, so any form of damage absorption or void is going to become problematic for her. Furthermore, her base active skill is relatively lackluster. It doesn't quite do enough to really use as an inherit. Yes, you can inherit over top of it, but it's just awkward to carry it around. So again, I just feel like she's in a bit of an awkward place, even though she does have an upgrade overall. Next is Light Metatron, and Light Metatron did jump from Relative 0 to Hero with this new evolution, because this new split evolution gives her significantly more utility to be used as on a variety of teams, because beforehand Light Metatron really couldn't fit anywhere. She didn't have any offensive awakenings, she did not have that powerful an active skill, she had average weighted stats, she just didn't do anything well enough, and Gung-Ho tried buffing her a bazillion times, wasn't really meaningful, any of them, and this split evolution makes her meta now, because she is still going to be a bind clearing card at heart, but she does have a 4-turn base cooldown, so you can inherit over top. She has respectable weighted stats now, but she gains time extent and guard break. And those are nice utility awakenings, with guard break being somewhat of the new in thing, because guard break allows you to completely reduce an enemy's defense down to 0 when you have a rainbow team and trigger all 5 colors at the same time. So you can easily bypass pre-draws without having to actually bring a true damage or poison inherit. So this is quite beneficial for teams. You can sub her in as a sub on various teams, and you can have that nice and happy guard break mechanic. So this is an interesting utility upgrade, but Light Metatron did gain a significant upgrade to her leader skill, because she is now able to form a 506 times attack and 6.25 times recovery leader for god types when matching multiple light crosses. So this is going to feel quite similar to Aizen, except she does have more recovery, which is redundant, and she does have a similar damage output with 2 crosses. Unfortunately, because she's a 5-star Godfest exclusive, she must have some drawbacks and or limitations, most notably the fact that she is quite orb hungry, because her damage does not ramp up fast like Aizen. She has virtually 0 damage with no light crosses, and she only has 56 times with a single light cross. Now, 56 times with heavy combos will probably sweep most floors, but compared to Aizen's 144 times, it's going to require more effort. And that can be problematic because she becomes somewhat orb hungry at this point in time. So you have to load up heavily on orb changers, as well as the fact that her actual base active is not meaningful or helpful for your team. So yeah, again, you have to inherit something over top, so it's going to just delay the opportunity to use orb changers. So when trying to team build for Light Metatron, Reincarnated Apollo is probably going to be your best sub because of the awakenings, the active skill, and typing. But other than that, you still should be prioritizing subs who have orb changes, because you are an orb-hungry team. You have infinite amounts of recovery, and you can easily stall. And this is actually kind of nice in a way because of the way that your multiplier for offensive capabilities works. You have almost no offensive multiplier when not matching a light cross, so stalling becomes very efficient because you have massive recovery and you don't deal damage, so you're not going to run the risk of pushing a boss into a danger zone. And that way you can stall up, hoard orbs, and then burst big with your light crosses. So this is a relatively exciting evolution, and I look forward to at least experimenting and playing around with her and seeing what kind of potential and capacity she has moving forward. So this is nice, and one thing I want to mention is that if you're using Light Metatron as a leader, you do not need to build around the guard break mechanic, because you have the capacity to hit more than 10 million damage against pre-draws, so don't even try. It's not worth sacrificing certain cards for it. And next we come to Dark Metatron, who probably gets me the most excited, because I used to play Dark Metatron a lot, much before this evolution, so I do enjoy the health management playstyle, mostly because it does provide another layer of challenge, and this new evolution makes her so much more pleasant to play, because not only do you have a significantly higher multiplier, you have much better health and recovery, you also have a no Skyfall clause. And the no Skyfall clause is huge because now you have perfect damage control, but you also have perfect health control, which is important because you have to stay below 80% health to have 81 times attack. as well as you always passively have 2.25 times health, 2.25 times recovery. So you're very tanky, you can always heal up to full health with relatively ease, and under 80% health is not too difficult to manage because my team with the health badge has about 81, almost 82,000 health in solo mode. So I have plenty of health to play around with, and without having the Skyfall clause present, with the no Skyfall clause present, I don't have to worry about accidentally healing and pushing myself above health thresholds when it's inappropriate. So this is actually this is actually very exciting and very unbelievable to a certain extent, because you have 81 times damage with essentially one combo. So this is kind of like Yomi Dragon, except you don't even need to have 5 orbs. You could have 3 or 4, and you can mow through things quite quickly, provided you can manage your health. So this is going to be a very viable leader for endgame content. Naturally, any leader with health clauses does require more management. It does sometimes slow down your runs, but because of the no Skyfalls clause, you can be a little bit creative in what you match. You don't have to always trigger heart matches, and you can somewhat plan what floors you want to burst down and which floors you wish to stall, because you can hoard dark orbs happily or you can hoard hard orbs, and you have to learn to manage the 2 different resources of damage and your health, and that becomes the challenge. And while writing this, I did play one quick solo Arena 3 with her, and it went quite smoothly. So I will hopefully record it maybe on stream in the next couple of days, so hopefully you can look forward to that gameplay. But I haven't necessarily decided on what subs I want to run necessarily, because even though Dark Metatron does have Rose, she also has 7 combo awakening. So I found that the TPAs from Haku and Persephone did massive amounts of damage when I'm not matching 7 combos, and when I hit 7 combos, I have Haku's and Dark Metatron dealing massive amounts of damage. Furthermore, Skyfall buff awakening or Skyfall buff active skills greatly facilitate your orbs present for the next turn, because they will never match when they fall down. Kind of like how Mary played. I'd use a Skyfall enhancing active and have plenty of water orbs left over. So this is exciting. And other subs I did consider for this team were Yomi Dragon and Eshamali. Again, I haven't fully decided on what I want to run for the team, but I will mix and match. But I do feel that having a health reset active skill like Reincarnated Izanagi was quite beneficial, because I can have myself push perfectly into the right health zone with obviously a damage amp, but it was able to push me down because I was at full health after killing Gaia Dragon. And then the last evolution to be released is Amaterasu, and Amaterasu is the only reincarnated evolution, so there's no splitting involved, and generally speaking, it's a direct upgrade unless you desperately crave that wood sub-attribute. You should be making Awoken Amaterasu pretty much in every scenario, because it does make her a stronger leader, it does make her 36 times attack when full health, and 9 times when below full health. But unlike Dark Metatron, who has another health clause leader skill, it's a lot more underwhelming. Your maximum damage is quite low, and you have very little damage when you're injured, and it becomes a challenge to restore your health to full if a boss is synced on 1 and there's preemptives, because although you do have a healing component after matching orbs, it doesn't actually heal you. You deal the damage, then get healed, so you don't actually have your maximum multiplier, which is a problem. And even though Amaterasu can heal you with her active skill, you are basically clogging up 1 active skill or 2 with dual leaders for something that you really shouldn't be having to use. So it does become problematic, but it is still an upgrade. And Amaterasu was not necessarily like super meta at this point in time, but the extra TPA and double skillbind resist possibly make her a desirable sub on a variety of teams, because she's God, she's bind immune, 2 TPAs, 2 skillbind resist. So has merits as a sub, but stronger merits as a leader, but still not quite as potent as I would like her to be. So, in conclusion, these new evolutions are quite exciting, and mostly because it revitalizes older cards back into relevancy. For myself, I do plan to play Dark Metatron quite a bit because I find the playstyle quite exciting, so hopefully I start producing some clear videos of her and maybe another article, a supplemental article at some point, who knows. But let me know what evolution you found most exciting of the 7 that were released, and don't forget to vote for Player's Choice Godfest. Hopefully you all have a mantastic day, and happy puzzling!